Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode. I'm here with the Vegas spin guy, aka Jeff Fargo. We're going to be talking about crypto, title, how he drove around and learned the ropes of real estate with his grandfather, and how he owned a restaurant and was voted best chef. There's a lot of cool stuff in here today. Can't wait to go through it with you. So let's go. Hey everyone, my name is Preston Zeller. I am the Chief Growth Officer at Batch Service. Super excited to be here today. I am with Jeff Fargo. He's the Assistant Vice President of Sales and Digital Strategy for Fidelity National Title in Las Vegas, Nevada. Jeff, I'm really looking forward to getting into your background and how you just got to where you are in your position today. And you started in real estate at a very interesting time economically in the 90s, and how that path has taken you to the sort of modernization effort that you're going through in the title industry today. So welcome,
many
Jeff.
stories to tell. Thank you, my friend. Many stories to tell. Yeah, it's been a wild ride and continues to be. It's fun.
Yeah. So I mean, so today you're of course you have a very important role within Fidelity National
Just ask
Title.
me. I'm very important.
Yeah.
Looks great on Bumble. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Well, so walk me through. Let's roll back to I think '94, right? Like when did that time period of you getting started in real estate? Like, what was that like for you? Why did you get into it?
Grew up in real estate. Actually, my family is from a little town, Canandaigua, New York, south of Rochester, New York, Western Finger Lakes. And my grandfather at one time controlled 80% of all the commercial lakefront property on the North Shore of Canandaigua Lake. We owned an amusement park. And when you're in fifth grade with acne all over your face and 3 chins and a bowl haircut, the only way you're going to get a girl to go with you to the spook house is if your grandfather owns the amusement park, because you get in for free.
All right.
And if they didn't kiss me in the spook house, there was no second date.
Okay.
And that was my indoctrination into real estate and leveraging real estate for my benefit. Was really that. Fast forward up to '94, I was selling copiers in Manhattan previously, and my mom took over the family business. We had liquidated a lot of the assets, but some still held on to, and she said, come on back up. I want you to help me run stuff. And so we had college housing, 32-pad trailer park, a 500-seat banquet facility, and then a bunch of land, raw, unencumbered, no mortgages, across the street from a city-owned park in Canandaigua.
Wow,
it's
and
gorgeous.
So it's a touristy-driven spot, or
it used to be. Now it's more. The influx now is a lot of people getting out of the major population centers.
Yeah.
So out of Rochester, out of Buffalo, out of Toronto, and come into a really folksy 35,000 person, city and town of Canandaigua combined. And that's where I went to high school, and great memories. I try to get back there almost every year and bring my daughter back. My dad's still there. All my buddies from high school still there, and so it's great to go back. And I learned a lot then. I learned a lot from my grandfather. I learned a lot driving around in an F-150 pickup truck and going to Wegmans, is the big grocery store back east, and getting lemon chicken with him, and him just telling me about how to treat people and how to work with people and how to be eternally, cautiously optimistic in working with folks, and to do deals on a handshake. That's okay. And if you get screwed over, that's the cost of doing business. What do you learn from it? And apply that to make you better for the next transaction that you get involved with. Not to get jaded, and to try to keep lawyers away from the transaction as much as possible. To try to have you in front of somebody else. So back when I was a real estate broker and agent, many times if the agent on the other side just didn't have it, or was going to be a hindrance to the fruition of the deal, I would respectfully say to them, you know what, you're going to get paid half on this transaction. Can I talk to your clients? Let me take care of this for us.
Yeah.
Because our job is to get paid.
Right.
And that's secondary. First is the fiduciary responsibility we have to our clients as realtors. Let me help with that, please. Usually they said, okay, what's the catch? I said, there is no catch.
Yeah.
Just got out of the way.
Yeah.
And did that. And so that matured on into the early 90s when we owned college housing, and America Online, AOL, was out with the greatest loss leader campaign ever. They'd send you a CD that you'd get in the mail, and you'd have X amount of hours for free on your 96 bits per second modem, which more than half your audience is going, what the hell is that noise Jeff just made? I have no idea what that is, and that's okay. But I learned that through people leaving testimonials about the Brentwood Apartments in Canandaigua, New York, that people were hundreds of people were seeing those posts, and I was getting people coming in. And that's free, and that means it's cheaper than a Yellow Pages ad.
Yeah.
And so that's where it started for the most part, and then that morphed into MySpace, which was another biggie.
So late 90s,
early 2000s, exactly
for
right.
the younger folks
Exactly
watching
right.
this,
Yeah.
and they don't know Tom.
No.
Tom's everyone's first friend.
Everyone's first friend was Tom.
So, yeah.
God bless Tom. I still consider Tom a cherished friend of my family's.
Where is Tom?
I think Tom still has some juice. If you were to Google
He's
Tom,
probably,
he's still doing okay.
He's
not under a bridge eating government cheese. We know that.
Right.
I think Tom's okay.
Yeah.
Not as good as Zuck, but he's okay.
Yeah.
He's doing fine.
He kicked it off.
But again, and that was more of a multifaceted. You could have, here's your top 8, and you could put music in there. And it became like almost a customizable splash page or landing page for people. And I learned then that people are drawn to people.
Mm-hmm.
And it made the world a much smaller place. Social media.
Oh, yeah.
And having now, grown up, when I grew up, I remember getting a microwave for the first time. I'm 52. And so getting a VCR that was this big, it was massive, and getting Pink Floyd The Wall on VHS. And my dad had Betamax and VHS to hedge his bet because he didn't know which one was going to take off. Which was hysterical.
Yeah. Laserdisc too.
Laserdisc. Yeah. I think he did have a couple Laserdiscs actually. It's funny you say that. And so I learned even more then the relevance of the messaging on social media, and then getting in, and I was helping doing real estate deals for my family. I had my own company I was doing then and doing residential and commercial deals. But then Facebook came.
Yeah, so this is 04.
Yeah.
05. Yeah, it was like all closed
04,
colleges
05,
for a while.
Exactly.
Right?
And you couldn't do any advertising unless you were Ford or American Airlines.
Right.
It was all enterprise level ads that they would do, and that was it. And fast forward to about, I want to say 2010, 2011, I was married at the time and lived in a little town outside of St. George, Utah. And we had Fargo's drive-thru, a little burger joint. And
that was your place?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
My wife and I at the time had it. And and what I learned was I had about 1,400 followers on our Facebook business page. Whenever it was slow, I would put a little ad out to say, hey, bring this in and get a free small milkshake with any purchase of a burger and fries. Next thing you know, 20 people would walk in the door. And I went, holy crap.
Yeah.
Again, much cheaper than putting out a coupon or doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Through direct mail or Yellow Pages or any other advertising venue. And so that's when it started to really run with me, was to do that. And then fast forward a little bit longer because I won Best Chef in Southern Utah for like 2010. It was all marketing. What I did was I had a ballot on the tray when I gave the people their food, and I highlighted 8 different sections. And all 8 sections, I could have put down best dog owner, or best kennel club runner, and they would have voted for me and hired me. So it's perception, and so did that. But it became a mistress and a curse having the restaurant, because in the food and beverage industry, for anyone that's been in it, it's your mistress, and it wasn't good. So ended up getting out of that and working for a digital marketing company. The company that built my website for me was pretty enamored with what I could do. And I became their chief marketing officer. Innovation Simple out of St. George, Utah. And Gaydon Levitt was my boss, great guy, brilliant guy. And one day he says, why don't you go to Vegas and check out the market there? So
for real estate,
this was for anybody, for digital, anyone that wanted a Facebook business page built, because no one knew what to do with that back then. A good website built in WordPress, but still a decent one. SEO, people had no idea what SEO. This is 2011. Like what? And I'm like, it's Google. What's Google? This is back when people actually said, what's Google? Because they were using, Yahoo or not know, or Ask Jeeves. Remember that one?
Alta Vista.
Dude.
Was that a
Alta
.com
Vista
one?
I think it was. I think it was.
Yeah.
Alta Vista is a good call, by the way.
Ask Jeeves is.
Ask Jeeves was like the original OG of search engines. Was Ask Jeeves.
Yeah.
And so I ended up I went to the Chamber of Commerce in Las Vegas, was in Town Square above the Apple store in this Class A mall office area, and I became such good friends with all the employees there. Whenever a new member came in and got a tour of the place, I'd camp out in their lounge, in like the member lounge, and this is Jeff. You ever need anything with digital marketing or Facebook or anything like that? He's your guy. It was shooting fish in a barrel. And did pretty well doing that, and ended up getting hired by Greenspun Media Group. Poached me, and they're the biggest media conglomerate in Las Vegas. The family owns Vegas.com. They used to own Vegas.com, the travel website, and Las Vegas, Vegas Inc., Las Vegas Sun magazines, and it was the best job I ever had that I got fired from. Because I didn't know this, but people aren't buying print advertising. Shocker. I know that's a big but I did well on the digital side because we could do geo-targeted stuff for ads. And that's where I really started to see the power of Google, because they were getting at that time about 1.2 to 1.7 million views a month on their websites, and this is the news sites.
Oh, okay. The
Vegas
the
Inc.
Media Group.
It was Vegas Inc., which is their business journal, and then VegasInc.com, Las Vegas Weekly, which was like entertainment, food and beverage entertainment, which there's hard copies, but most people don't do that. They go online.
Yeah.
So I was selling digital ads there and learned a lot there. That was awesome, but got fired because I wasn't selling enough print ads.
Got it. So it was like kind of a sales role, basically. Yeah.
And then jumped around different jobs with unemployment for about 3 months. I took at that time, my daughter was in kindergarten, so it was me and a bunch of moms in the morning waiting at Glen Taylor Elementary in Henderson, Nevada, and dropping off my daughter Alex and going home and watching Sons of Anarchy and folding laundry. I watched all of Sons of Anarchy and got addicted to Ellen.
That is the most fantastic combination of domestic responsibility,
right?
And looking through this window of who you aspire to be, maybe the escape.
Sons of Anarchy,
folding laundry, and Sons of Anarchy,
folding my family's underwear, watching Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't have changed it for the world. If I can go back and do it again, I'd do the same thing. It was awesome. And then a friend of mine he was my spin instructor at a cycling class I took, was a sales manager at First American Title, and he said, "You want to come be on my team?" And I said, "I know nothing about title and escrow." And he said, "You're one of the best salespeople I've ever seen, and you know real estate. We can train you." And that's where I started there.
So what year was that?
That was 8 years ago.
Okay, so 2014.
It was mid 2014.
Mid 2014
when I started there at First American.
So pretty interesting. So prior to I guess, just to recap, your childhood, right? Your family's running all this real estate. You're riding around with your grandpa. He's teaching you the ropes. Most importantly, it sounds like on a very personal level, intrapersonal communication. But then, of course, real estate. And then, I mean, you're clearly kind of an entrepreneurial guy. I mean, you've gravitated towards and explored things that just kind of naturally intrigued you, which I think to some degree, a lot of us can get in that rut of not doing.
Correct.
You kind of just go this one stream and you think that's the only one out there, but there are lots of other avenues. So I commend you for going those different routes. And so that, having a restaurant, that's fantastic. Sons of Anarchy and folding laundry, that's great. But your experience leading up to getting into title is rather unique in the sense that I think a lot of people probably, I would assume, get into title because they're into real estate, and then it's an avenue. And you sort of took this back channel way, right? And so that's going to lead, I know, into some unique parts of your story. So your friend hits you up, gets you to go into title.
Yeah.
And what were the early days of that like?
It was pretty interesting because I looked at what everybody else was doing in title, and most title reps in Las Vegas, all of them, were showing up to meetings or offices with bagels and donuts and desk calendars and pens and pads. And I'm sitting there going, what the heck is going on here that you are looking to have an agent work so hard to establish trust with a buyer or a seller, and that buyer or seller is going through the most stressful, biggest financial decision of their life, hands down. And I'm going to expect to earn that escrow by giving somebody donuts. Kill me now.
Yeah.
And I was like, I won't do that. I can't do that. Being a digital guy, the first thing I looked at that time, I should back up a second. When I was taking those spin classes, I was 70 pounds heavier than I am now. And I started in the back row. And within 8 to 9 months, lost all that weight, was in the front row, ended up teaching the spin classes and taking over the entire spin program at the local community rec center. I was Vegas spin guy. And had a decent following on my Facebook business page.
That was your pseudonym, Vegas Spin Guy.
That was my nom de plume, was Vegas Spin Guy.
That's a pretty big deal.
If you Google me, you still will see some pretty good videos that are up on some old YouTube stuff of me teaching some spin classes, wearing an afro with short shorts for a disco night because we had a disco ball. Oh, dude, yeah. If you're going to do it, you got to have a disco ball. And so did all that. And so I'm someone that by ADHD, I hyper-focus on something.
Yeah.
I am locked in, and I've been locked in now in the talent escrow space for 8 years with no letting up. The first thing I did was Periscope videos, which was a platform owned by Twitter. I told everyone the video had the lifespan of a goldfish, 24 hours.
And they were 6 seconds long, right? Or could they be longer?
These were longer.
Okay.
I did some because Vegas is a global destination.
Sure.
So immediately I said, well, why am I talking to the people that are doing these onesie-twosie deals for $300,000? Let me go talk to people that are doing multiple deals a year for $5 million and up. And they already had relationships with title companies. I said, you know what? Can I just film content? Just walk me through your listing at Queensridge for $12 million.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, because I want to show you something. So we would do it, and they'd walk me through, and people are hitting the hearts. You get the hearts going up for validation, and your endorphins are going, and people are asking questions. So in real time, I would be saying whatever the people were saying, and so the agent was having a conversation with their audience.
Yeah.
And this was unheard of.
Yeah, that was before Facebook Live.
Oh,
right?
way before.
Definitely way before Instagram Live.
Yeah.
Before any of the other stuff.
Before any lives.
Yeah,
before any live streaming. Yeah. The original one that I know of was Periscope. And so at the end of it, I would show it to the agent and say, here, you just had 4,000 people just came on from all over the world. And they're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So that helped me get in to build a book of business. 6 months later, Facebook Live rolled out. They had their algorithms dialed in. I was the first one in their real estate vertical to get Facebook Live. And I was already then, a Ferrari with the key was on and the garage door was up. Yeah. And the first thing I did was, because this is before Cambridge Analytica, so you could do whatever you wanted to. It was a Wild West. And so I took a email directory of every single agent. It was back then. It was the GALVAR, Greater Las Vegas Association of Realtors, and it was about 15,000. I dumped them all into a custom audience on Facebook. I did a video. Hi, I'm Jeff Fargo with First American Title. If you're seeing me right now, I can get you in front of the exact people that want to buy or sell a home and use you. Want to get together? Click below. And that was my ClickFunnels was built, and I built my book of business. And I was, by my third year with the company, I was in the top 1%. Got their DPK award for being in the top 1% in the nation. And back then, I did lead gen ads because they were cheaper. Yeah. Now I'm all about video views and retargeting after 50% people watch. But back then, it was all about lead gen. And this is something that we discussed off camera earlier. I could run ads. I was showing agents someone that went to Stanford, lived in the 89052 zip code, had 3 lines of open credit, drove a Buick, and had enjoyed parrots. That's how granular you could get with the data from Facebook. It was amazing, and literally no one knew what to do with it, but I did. I just taught myself how to do it and elevated through that, and that's what really poured the solid foundation. Now I'm Google and a bunch of other stuff we'll talk about, but that was the foundation for me. Was learning the importance of data.
Yes.
And how it's got to be good data. Now the word is thrown around like value. People say, "Oh, he brought." Stop it. Value. It's like kissing your mother. Just stop it. Value. Be more. Quantify your statement. What was the proposition, or what was the thing that person said that made you better? Don't just say, "Oh, he was great. A lot of value that person brought." I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out.
A lot of fluffy things.
It's a lot of fluff.
Well, it's interesting what you're talking about with Periscope and with, of course, early days of Facebook and then Facebook Live and all these things, right? Is, and there are, I think probably the majority of stuff kind of cycles through, right? These different things you can do, but then there are some that really they stick and they hold, right? As we were talking about the early search engines, those kind of cycle through, and now we have some that we use predominantly. And it's even interesting about Google is now there's this sort of break off from people wanting to use Google because they're concerned about different things. But
DuckDuckGo.
DuckDuckGo. Well, and it's funny because even DuckDuckGo is there's people now concerned about that.
Of course they are.
Though it's like Google Lite. So now there's Quant and Brave and all these. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're right. I mean, data is that is the driving force for sure in a lot of ways, and I think to some degree that can be scary for a lot of people because they go, "Well, I'm not a numbers person, I'm not a math person," but it's kind of beyond. It's like table stakes now to me to really to elevate your game to get into that. But one question I wanted to run by you, just again for the sake of people who may be watching this and they're like, "What is title again?" So if you could give a good 2-minute rundown of just
I can make it 20 seconds.
Sure.
Yeah, because I'm not that smart. I'll be honest with you. I'm not that smart of a guy. Okay. Literally, title and escrow, which some states it's broken off, like Southern California. You go to title one place, escrow another. In the state of Nevada, it's together, which is most states in the nation. I work for Fidelity National Title. We're the largest. Fidelity National Financial is the largest title insurance company on the planet. We're a $46 billion company. We're it. With many subsidiaries underneath, many tentacles that go out. And title and escrow is simply getting a buyer, securing, making sure their funds are good from a lender, or they have cash in the bank or whatever, but those funds are certifiable, legit, the money's there, ready to buy that house. And then we take that, and then we take a seller, and we take their home, and we make sure that any liens and encumbrances on that home are removed and are gone. And we make sure that the funds go to the seller of the home, and the seller of the home then transfers ownership, deeds it over to the buyer. That is what we are, a third-party intermediary in the real estate transaction.
And then the title insurance covers basically clearing the way for escrow, right?
If the title insurance is, should anyone challenge ownership of the home. So if you sell me your home and I go ahead and share it with Fidelity National Title, and your Aunt Fern comes out of nowhere and goes, "Wait a minute, I thought I was supposed to get that. I've got a cocktail napkin that says it's mine. Sorry, Fern, not for you. No, it's mine."
Yeah.
And so that's all. That's the biggest part about title insurance is it guarantees you own the property in perpetuity as long as until you sell it. It guarantees ownership to you.
Yeah.
Can't be challenged. That's all. That's title and escrow.
That's fantastic. I appreciate that rundown.
It took me 8 years to get to that, by the way, because I just was awful. Before that, I'd be texting my boss and saying, "What the hell do I say? I don't know what even we do. I don't know. I just do Facebook ads back then."
Well, I think most people, when they get involved with any kind of property transaction, right? At least initially, and even maybe not initially, they just know you're a part of the process. But they're like, "Okay, that's an expense."
Exactly right.
I know I have to pay them. What they do?
Exactly right.
I don't know.
Not a freaking clue. And for the longest time, I didn't know either. Full disclosure. Now I do, but in the beginning, no idea.
Well, you're looking at things too, like chain of title and things
exactly.
like that, right?
Anything like a lot of times we will do lien reports. So we'll look ahead of time to see is there any liens on the property before a buyer's agent puts an offer in. They want to be weaponized with all the data that they can use to make sure that they're good. Again, this is the biggest financial transaction someone's going to undertake, is buying or selling a home. So you want to have all the cards on the table before you play. And that's what we help out with that.
Cool.
Which is huge.
Actually, I want to go off on a little topical journey real quick and just see if you've thought about this. Are homes and the chain of title being registered on blockchain?
As of right now, here's my challenge with blockchain. They're not right now. People say that they are, but there is not a title insurance company in this country that is going to write a title insurance policy for a blockchain deal or do an escrow. The biggest reason is it's so volatile. The value of your Bitcoin money on October 1st compared to when you close on October 30th could be way off.
Right.
So what do you do about that? And I think that's something, it's a challenge that will be solved eventually. But right now, I know that we're not touching it.
Yeah.
And now, again, I'm speaking for myself. Please do not hold myself, any licensees, subsidiaries, affiliate national title, financial, or any partners or relatives, culpable of what I'm talking about right now.
This is, Jeff's corner.
Right? Thank you. This is all just me riffing.
Yeah.
But and I've been around for a little bit and been doing real estate for 30 years. Blockchain scares me right now still. I think eventually it won't. But right now, it's still too much of a volatile avenue of which you're going to fund a major purchase in your life.
Yeah.
Don't even ask me what NFTs are. Don't know them. All I know is they're goofy-looking paintings that people make money off of, I think. That's all I know. Yeah. But I have friends of mine who are like, let's invest. I'm like, I'd rather go to the dentist, to be honest with you. I just can't. I'm a low-risk tolerance guy. I'm 52, please. So I just think that blockchain is... I'm not a big fan of the word disruptor. I hate that too. It's overused. Give me a break.
Kind of a
Give me
cliche
a break.
word,
Just suck it with disruptor. How about you're an original thinker? How about that? You're original. I'd rather be that. Yeah. I think that there's original ways to go in to be creatively financing real estate transactions, and there is a role for blockchain in the future. But remember, the big title insurance companies in this country are us, Fidelity's number one, then First American Title, then the other two go back and forth, Stewart Title, Old Republic. All 100-plus-year-old companies.
Right.
They're not getting into blockchain.
Yeah.
At least right now, they're not getting into blockchain. They might be looking at it, but just a bunch of older conservative people, and the board of directors have stockholders to keep happy, and so they're not looking at blockchain that heavily, I don't think.
They don't need to, right?
They don't need to. Like I said, we're a $46 billion company. We're good. The lights are on.
Right.
We're keeping the lights on just fine. We're not eating Velveeta. We're doing okay.
Yeah. For sure.
But great question.
Well, so I guess, back to the original topic I derailed this from, which is, we're talking about like modern tools, which, by the way, NFTs kind of fall into that bucket, right? Something.
God, yes.
We'll see what happens. I'm a painter as well, and I've had a lot of people say, put your artwork on NFTs. I'm like, no, it seems a little too speculative.
Yeah.
Unless I could create a million different apes, maybe that.
Yes, agreed.
But so I mean, it kind of brings you up to. I think there's a core set of tools that a lot of people use today.
Yeah.
Of course, TikTok is one that, from a social media standpoint, people are taking advantage of, and interesting battle going on there with shorts. You do shorts, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How's the experience been with doing that and putting more of those out?
I personally don't have shorts, but my agents and brokers and team leads that I work with are very happy with shorts.
Got it.
Now, that being said, the digital space is very elastic. Very elastic, very fluid. So Google is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And I play very well in the Google ecosystem on many different fronts. And I monetize that very well, knock on wood. However, TikTok has a lot of people scared. In Palo Alto, California specifically, TikTok has a lot of people scared because they're not from here, they're China, which means they don't care about what's going on here. And no one's going to bring the head of TikTok in front of Congress to go justify what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not going to happen.
It was the reason why I, tried to get banned here for a little while.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think that, again, full disclosure, I love TikTok. Especially now you can start doing geo-targeted promotions of posts. Ooh, that makes my heart go pitter patter. I'm a giant fan of TikTok, but for right now, Google is still the 800-pound gorilla in the room that we must respect and play within that space if we wish to monetize within the real estate vertical. I tell all my clients, Zillow is not your friend at all. Why are you wasting your time getting Zillow reviews? Have a Google business profile. It's $3 and free cents. And get a bunch of reviews, post on there maybe once or twice a week, maybe, and you'll kill it.
Yeah.
I get 10 to 15 leads a month from my Google business page.
And I know you've put quite a bit of concerted effort into building up your organic presence. And when you mean Google profile, you're talking about which profile are you?
Google My Business. It's a Google business page. Okay. There is nothing, at least to me, nothing better than if I'm meeting with a top producing agent in Las Vegas for the first time, and they say, "Well, tell me about you," and I say, "You know what? Google me."
Yeah.
Google me. Which everyone should do that, like you're checking your credit report. At least once a month, you should be checking Google yourself.
Yeah.
What's coming up? Look at Google Images. That's a good one, especially for younger folks. Ooh, all I'm going to say is I'm 52. It's a good thing that there were no cell phones around back when I was in college. Very proud of that fact.
I think a lot of people went to college, probably.
Very proud. Very. I champion that one all day long, as all my friends do that are my age. We all went to school together. So I think that Google is just the place right now because no one has been aggregating data longer than Google. No one really got into the whole predictive behavior thing. Amazon came in, but Google was first with it. And so if you're not playing in the Google ecosystem, you are doing yourself a great disservice as a realtor. I wouldn't be giving Zillow a dime. My personal opinion, within 3 to 5 years as a realtor, you're out. They're going to have everything in-house. They're going to hire probably some showing agents, pay them 50 to 75 grand a year, give them full benefits. They'll think they've died and gone to heaven, and everyone's out.
That's the Redfin model, basically.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct. And I think that's what's going to happen, and that's what Zillow's going to do. Yep. And any Zillow or whomever, they're out of the home buying. No, they're not forever. What they're doing is licking their wounds. They're going to maybe hire and acquire some talent.
Right.
And they're going to come right back in stronger than ever. That's what they're going to do. They're not going to wait forever. So, no. So Zillow is a great platform if you are looking for a home, but it's not accurate in terms of the pricing. And everyone knows that. But if you want to get immediate information on it, yes.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of agents about websites. I'm like, well, you don't really need a website anymore. You don't need an IDX plugin. They're going to go to Zillow anyways.
Yeah.
Save your time. Save your money.
It's funny. I was actually a Washington broker for a number of years, and I have my digital background as well. And one of the first things I did was I went all integrated with IDX, and I'm like, this is going to crush SEO, and then it's just like, wait a second. No WordPress IDX website or wherever it's hosted is going to compete with these massive property aggregators, where by default they're all syndicating to anyways. So what's the point?
Not a chance. And now that Zillow's getting woven into MLSs, which is now you're making a deal with the devil. That to again, my opinion, but that's the worst thing ever is to have local MLSs are signed going ahead and letting Zillow coming in as members. What?
Explain that to me. So you're saying the local MLSs are going into Zillow,
Zillow's going into local MLSs, and saying we want to join.
Got it.
Okay. And the MLS are going, okay, come on in.
Interesting.
Like what? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
I'm big on Google. To answer your question is, I'm big on Google. I'm still big on Facebook and Instagram because if you do it right, there's still good ways of either branding or doing some lead gen. If you have your funnels set up, and if you get good data, you could dump in to have custom audiences. Yes, but it all comes down to having relevant data. If your data is not, this is the analogy I use. Whenever my competitors go in and offer data to agents in town, I say that's nice. That's like going to Costco and getting ground chuck. It's good in a stew. Not very tender, but if you put some potatoes in there and some carrots and a good beef stock, it'll taste okay. My data is A5 Wagyu.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff for compliance reasons, I cannot sell or do any of that for my clients, but I can recommend platforms.
Sure.
Because all I do is vet platforms, CRM platforms, data aggregation, data mining platforms. That's all I do. And that's how I stumbled on BatchLeads about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I'm like, this platform is incredible. And it's the number one platform that I refer to all of my clients in Las Vegas or nationwide that I speak with.
Well, first of all, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, second of all, so I know you've tried a variety of different kind of data sources out, different platforms out there. Like, what is the net benefit you see from working with just good, and by good I mean accurate data versus inaccurate data? Like, what's the cost to you if you don't have good data?
If you don't have good data, you are literally. I always use this analogy. You're a Bugatti Veyron running on 4 cylinders,
yeah.
Because you have such horsepower and torque with your knowledge and your passion, and you're making these phone calls. And picture you have your dialer and you're calling, 200 to 300 people a day, but of that 300 people. Only 50 of those phone numbers are any good. Mm-hmm. What does that do to your psyche?
Right.
I always say to be in the real estate sector, it's like the first 10 minutes of Saving Private Ryan every single day. You are storming the Normandy beachhead, man, mm-hmm. right? And they're bringing up the Magalores, and Tom Hanks is not there with you, by the way, mm-hmm. or Tom Sizemore, my more favorite Tom. And so I think that with that, it becomes so self-defeating. Mm. And in the beginning of this, there were some data companies that were out there that were sending out stuff that 40% hit rate, mm-hmm. 30% accuracy, and agents found that to be status quo because they didn't know any different.
Yeah.
And a lot of them still to this day think that that's okay. And I mean, word to anyone that's out there: if you're not paying for data, you should be paying for it.
Yeah.
Pay for your data because you're going to get better data that way. Or have a partnership with, like in Vegas, like lenders can help with that stuff sometimes. Mm-hmm. They can co-brand and partner with to get buyers to come in. Partner with someone to offset that cost, because if you're getting free data, it's usually crappy data, mm-hmm. and then you're just wasting your time.
That's the barrier to entry.
Yes.
For utilizing data becomes very low.
If you're going to spend money on anything, spend it on data. Yeah. First, before anything else, before a nice suit, before open house signs, before pens, whatever crap you're going to get as a realtor, spend it on good data.
And so we've actually talked about data in a variety of ways, which, by the way, I love the endless debate out there of data versus data.
I wasn't going to say anything. You did it. I love it. I love it because I'm going to stick to my guns. You're going to stick to yours.
It's an East and West Coast thing.
It is. It really is.
100%.
So Mazel Tov, my friend.
Yeah. Well,
love you.
We'll agree to disagree.
Fly
on this
that
one.
flag. Fly that flag, my brother.
But we talked about advertising data, right? We were talking about the lookalike audiences and just the targeting you do with ads.
Yeah.
There's also data of people, actually, tracking the KPIs of their own marketing campaigns.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then there's the data, which I think we've talked about a little bit in terms of the property information and the owner information and those kinds of things. So if you can, we've talked about quality a bit, but what do you find to be the biggest differentiators out there when you're looking at beneath like the quality lever? Like, what makes it better when you're looking at the property information?
Valuation. And when I say valuation, not the property value, but equity. How much equity is in the home? That's a biggie. Yeah. And, I sound like a freaking infomercial, but Batch has it down. And I will always use like my own house and look at that. And because I know what's owed on my mortgage, and it's pretty darn close than other platforms. And I always, whenever I have a client looking for a data platform, I'll say, hey, talk to Batch. Here's a link, and you get your first, I think it's like 1,000 leads you get for free. Run your house. Yeah. Run your property first.
Which is, and that
always
pretty typical, yeah.
Always do your property first, your parents' property, because you'll have a pretty good idea, brother, sister, family member that you know, and talk to them. Go, hey, how much you on your mortgage? And then have that number and see what it comes up to. That's the number one thing. To me, it's equity, because that's a big indicator on someone's going to leave their home or not. They're going to sell. Yeah, is the equity that they have in it.
Yeah, there's also life events in there too. Which
the life events one, and that's going back to Facebook. I mean, that was when I first learned about like divorce, death, pregnancy, empty nesters, kids, because kids are going off to college, right? Engaged or newlyweds. That was I'm getting like reminiscent of like the good old days, and you could go in and target those life events, and Batch is great because a lot of those life events are in there. Like the divorce stuff is in there. That's phenomenal. Or someone's a high net worth person, they're a millionaire. Amazing. Like that's the stuff that to me brings me back to the days of Facebook from 8 years ago. And so what I do is I'll recommend Batch to one of my clients. They'll get it, then I'll sit down with them and show them what to do and what type of search queries they should be running, and then off they go.
Well, and I appreciate you, going through that with me. And one of the things we're looking at, of course, is okay, what are the evolutionary or revolutionary things that this space is going to continue to go in? Because we're in this property technology space, prop tech, and it's actually pretty young compared to a lot of the traditional kind of sales and marketing tools that have existed, like a HubSpot or Salesforce. They've been around a long time.
I agree.
But I'm curious where you see the industry going of property data and things like what we offer at Batch Service. Where is this industry kind of going, though, in terms of how people may use it or the types of insights someone might see?
Great question. Much more of a focus on the target. If you're a realtor, you don't matter. I don't care about you. I care about, if I'm your audience, I want you to make me smarter. I want you to make me feel better about myself for that brief few seconds that we're going to interact. But if you keep doing that consistently, eventually I'm going to feel like I know you. And I'm going to share that information with my friends. And that's the big thing now, that with the right data, you can go ahead and get that message in front of the exact people that need to see it. The last thing you should be doing is spraying and praying. No. And a lot of people will equate mailer campaigns to spray and pray. We own CoreFact. It's the best mailer platform out there. I love mailing campaigns, but I'd much rather, instead of mailing 500 random, how about 500 targeted? That these people have all hit those key indicators that they're looking to sell within the next 1 to 12 months. Yes, then those people, carpet bomb them. You either get a listing agreement or a restraining order. One of the two. That's it. Because the goal of a realtor, in my opinion, when I'm coaching any of them, is your target audience member, that household, when the time they get up in the morning and the time they go to bed at night, should see you, should hear you. I don't care if it's a voicemail drop, MMS, SMS text, an email, a cold call, a phone call, a mailer, a knock on the door because you're doing an open house, but something. They see you, and they keep seeing you, and that's familiarity of brand then germinates and blossoms. So the data, it begins and ends with excellent data points.
Right. Well, it's interesting what you're describing. Actually, just remind me of how the biggest retailers today treat us. Right. I mean, I think car companies are a pretty good example of this. Right. I mean, it's like there's a reason why people are buying new cars all the time. Right. I don't need a new car, but I've been convinced that I probably should.
Do you know what the average car payment is right now in America per month?
$800.
$1,100 a year. I'll say that again.
Wait, 11,000 a year?
A month. $1,100 a month is the average car payment in America right now. Reverse engineer it. Why? Because they're being hit with ads. People are saying, you've got to drive this car. You need this car. you are less of a person unless you are in a Tesla.
Yeah,
you've got to drive a Tesla. You've got to drive a Tesla. You got to drive the Tesla 3, or else you are less than a person with the farting turn signals.
Right.
Well, you are less of a person unless you drive a Tesla Model 3, and you're literally looking at every single tweet that Elon Musk puts out 24 hours a day. Your phone is set to an alarm to wake you up if he's texting something, tweeting something at 1 a.m.
The irony about cars to me has always that was a great rant. We have a Tesla fanboy in the room,
which is why it's 100% why I did it, by the way.
No. But the irony about cars, just a side note real quick, is that we get really enamored with the way they look on the outside, but you don't use it from the outside. You spend the time on the inside. Correct. So the outside is, of course, what everyone else is looking at. But that's interesting what you're saying about, kind of the future of things. I mean, I think from the practitioners working in the space, I was talking about this with someone earlier today, what we're looking to do for sure is, service all the different aspects that are attending to the life cycle of a property, and even like roofers came up. I used to live in Texas until recently, and I got my door knocked on for, probably every other weekend until I put a no soliciting sign up by roofers. And they're all like, I know you have a 30-year roof. It's probably going to last 10 years.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way,
30-year shingles, asphalt
company.
Shingles, shake stuff. Yeah. I know that from New York, yeah.
So it's like, but imagine being able to see, here's the insurance company, here's the age of the roof, here's, the age of the house, and just so all those, kind of data points you were referring to that equip you with knowledge going into canvassing or whatever you're doing.
It helps you make a more informed decision on where you're going to spend your time and your money.
It's a fantastic way of putting it.
The end. That's what good data does. And if you're not leveraging it, like I said before, Costco's hiring, Amazon distribution centers probably near you and hiring. Go. Get out of the real estate business.
Well, and to add to that, I think a good business owner, a good steward of their business is doing just what you said as well. So any good real estate agent that I know is constantly working on their business, not in their business. Mm-hmm. They're constantly tweaking systems. My favorite team lead in Las Vegas, a guy named Mike Rowland, the Rowland team. Mike is the best systems guy I've ever seen in my entire life. Mm. And Mike has probably changed CRMs 814 times. Mm. Now he's on something that's amazing. But he's constantly, his brain is like Mensa level smart, that he is always looking to tweak his systems to how can I get more impressions in front of somebody and hire the right people, and then get those right people in front of the folks that we're getting the message in front of. Yeah. That are receiving that message. And Mike's got it down. He's got it down. And it's a brilliant thing to watch. It's like listen to someone playing a Stradivarius, to me. Someone that knows how to leverage data well. It makes my hair go up my arms and I get goosebumps. I love that when I see someone that can just do it so well. That's the direction real estate's going now, is you have millennials. I mean, I'm older, but you've got these kids in their 20s and 30s. First of all, I don't like the word grind. I always say this. I don't grind. I'm 52. I'll break a freaking hip if I grind. I'm not grinding anything. I work smart, but I'm not going to grind on anything. Don't grind. Work smart. And with the right data and the right CRM and the right other platforms you can bring in, some good bots that come in, you are bulletproof. Regardless of what economic climate we're in, regardless of who is the Fed treasurer, whoever's running, if it's Powell or Bernanke or whomever, or Greenberg, who was it? Alan Greenspan?
Greenspan. Yeah. Greenspan. It doesn't matter who's doing any of that stuff. Because you know what? Someone's always going to want to buy a house, and somebody's always going to want to sell a house. And it just comes down to, are they going to do it with you?
Great way of putting it. I mean, and there's always, to your point, externalities that you can say, this is why I'm not being productive or doing X, Y, or Z. And that is something that particularly good data opens up the doors for, is to be able to do that.
The best agents that I know, they go on vacation. They're going off and traveling with their families. And guess what? everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's the time-honored rule in real estate. If you want to generate business, go on vacation. Because that's when all of a sudden people start calling you. They want to see a house. They want to sell their house and all that. And you're at Disney World with your family for 10 days. Well, with the right systems in place and with the right data points, you have people that are helping you out. And you can be in Fiji with your significant other and have an iPad and just be sitting there and maybe bombing through some emails and working for an hour a day, and then go back to your hollowed out coconut with a parasol and some rum drink of choice.
And a sun hat.
And a big floppy hat, especially for this kickball head, a giant floppy hat. But it's all about, I think now people, there's a big shift away from this whole grind and work. It's, you know what? Life is short. You're here for a finite amount of time. Love the ones you can love on. Karma, help everyone that you can, and have zero expectations. Zero. Do not wake up thinking that you're going to make X amount of money that day. No. But you can say, I want to make this many calls this day. I want to have this many meaningful conversations with people today. And don't bring up real estate. For the love of God, everyone already knows a real estate agent. Stop it.
Right.
Stop it. The best thing you can do is shut up. Don't say you're a real estate agent. Talk to that person. And guess what? Eventually, someday, somehow, they're going to go, so what do you do for a living? Then you could say you're a real estate agent. Then you've earned the right. You always have to earn the right to give your opinion about something. If not, and I tell anyone I'm coaching that's new, lean in with data first. When in doubt, use data. And make sure it's good and make sure it's accurate and make sure you are sourcing everything you can. Because without that, you're dead. You're dead. But that's what you want to be doing, is be the source of the information. The end. Full stop.
Well, one of my favorite sayings that kind of sums up a lot of that is just that money is the echo of value. So,
amen. Amen. I'm someone that I do okay. My bills are paid. Like I said, I'm not under a bridge eating government cheese yet. I've never had more fun in my life, but I also have never been more well off financially than I am now. But I have fun what I'm doing
by helping people.
And but also, really important, I defend my calendar. I am very tactical with who I spend time with and how long I spend time with them. I tell everyone I work with, if the squeeze isn't worth the juice, walk away. Walk away. I don't care if it's a $10 million deal. If this person's going to suck the marrow from your bones, walk. Because guess what? When you're on your deathbed, you're not going to think back. Remember in 2022, I had that $15 million deal? No, you're not going to remember that. It's about experiences with your loved ones or bettering yourself. That's what it's about. Not about what's in your checking account on your deathbed. That's crap.
Right. Yeah, legacy. Right?
Legacy. Yeah. And it's leaving. If you have kids, I have 3 kids. I love them all dearly. And I hope that if I was going to hit by a bus today, enough people would come up to them and say, your dad was a good guy. Your dad did this for me. Your dad helped me with this. Not, do you know what your dad had?
Right.
Hey, you look in his Chase account and see what he's got there? No. Good heavens.
Yeah.
So it's about having, I think a lot of times agents get burned out because of grinding, or they're so busy. Have balance in your life. People are still going to be there for you. And if they're mad at you for not returning their phone call at 11 o'clock on a Sunday, do you really want to work with them? Because guess what? When you're in the cycle of the deal with them, you're going to be getting a lot of those phone calls. And guess what? If that person refers you, guess what kind of people they usually associate with? People just like them. So it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy of just, of just prickly, stagnant lifestyle. Why? Make the choice. Do good things. Good things will come from that. From good works. That's all. And that's how real estate should be. And that's what I preach. Now, I'm just at a level that it's like, I love Google. I'm a fan of it. I love Google reviews. I'm like 13 million people have seen my reviews, which is bananas.
Wow.
But I know that Google rewards me for that. And that's why I'm getting multiple leads. It's FSBO leads is what I'm getting. If you Google Las Vegas, or title insurance Las Vegas, or title insurance near me, and you're in Las Vegas, I come up first page, and people think I'm Fidelity National Title. It says Jeff Fargo for National Title, and because we're an Amazon trained culture now, when you're buying a product online, what do you go with? The one with the most reviews.
Oh yeah.
And I'm number one in reviews. So there's all these major billion-dollar corporations, and then here's Jeffy, and it's Uncle Joe is buying cousin Sam's condo. It's a FSBO, and they went to Kinko's to get the contract, the purchase and sale contract, which, oh my God, that's a whole nother conversation. But then they're calling for fees.
Got it. Interesting.
And so I just pass that along. I round robin it to I have 23 escrow officers I work with. I round robin it to them.
Is that like what percent of your business would you say comes from like that kind of organic stuff?
It's good but not great because I work with, my bulk of business is realtors. I don't really work with lenders. I don't do a lot of refi business. For me, it's I'd say so probably 10 to 15%, but it's a nice 10 to 15% to have, especially in this market right now. I'll take it.
You also don't know who's seeing that, and like you said, that you're sticking with them.
Absolutely,
to some degree.
Oh yeah.
So,
I take the call, and they'll say, "Is this Fidelity National?" Yes, it is, sir. How can I help you? My name's Jeff. Mm-hmm. You don't want me within 1,000 yards of your closing docs, by the way. I'm not an escrow officer. You do not want me within a settlement statement? Are you kidding me? I don't have my notary stamp. You don't want me near that stuff.
Yeah.
So I get them in front of an escrow officer as fast as possible to answer all the questions. I take all the information down, and then off it goes.
Yeah.
And within probably 3 to 4 minutes, they're getting called back from an EO.
That's fantastic.
Done. Yeah, and because I've had it for so long, all y'all that want to copy me, you're too late because I've had it for 6 years. And Google rewards you for longevity.
Yeah.
The longer you're in the game, they reward you. I've been doing it for 6 years. And that's a big reason why I get a lot of business from it, is because I've just been there. But also they see that I'm literally harvesting and aggregating data for them via pictures and text reviews of businesses on Google Reviews.
Yeah.
And very soon I'll be jumping into YouTube.
Yeah.
And so if you're playing within that space, they're loving you. Mm-hmm. And I'm all in and very bullish for a long time to come on Google. Facebook, Instagram, Reels are okay. But then TikTok's a whole nother monster. Is TikTok.
That'll be interesting to see what happens there, being distant entity. Right?
Well, TikTok's funny to me because in the beginning, I've been on TikTok actively now for about 2 years, and at first it was like, "Hey, boomer," because you're being called too old to be on this platform, and the hashtags and all that. You really don't see those that much anymore. Because guess what? All of us oldies are on there, and we're buying things. And an article I read this morning, a lot more large corporations are going to be doing a larger presence on TikTok because younger people, that's where they're going to get information on products, is TikTok. And so a lot more people now that also because you can geo-target your promoted posts, now it's game on, man. And because they're not from here, they're not going to, do the same stuff that Facebook and Instagram, that Meta, went down that road.
Yeah.
But they're going to do their own thing.
That's a big bet, by the way. I'm like, I don't know if you can bank on everyone walking around or sitting down with VR headsets all the time.
I have 2 VR headsets for my kids, and it's fun, but it also gets nauseating after a while. Yeah. A lot of people are doing like virtual tours with VR headsets. I had agents sending out cardboard VR headsets out to people in out of state from Las Vegas. Go, hey, look at my $5 million home. Really? It's a $5 million home. How about fly them in?
Yeah.
How about fly them into Vegas for a weekend and show them the house?
Bit of a different story.
So the whole VR thing, I think that ship sailed. To be honest, I'm not a fan of it at all. Yeah. It's another reason to sit home. It's like the movie WALL-E. All the people on the cruise ship and they're all morbidly obese with a giant triple gulps from 7-Eleven. That's what Zuckerberg wants everyone to go in that direction.
It seems like
that's it.
That is, by the way, where the NFTs, my understanding, come into play is you're buying things to be unique in that world. So
I know people that are right now today selling virtual real estate.
Yeah, in that
space, and I'm like, that's bananas to me. That's bananas. I wouldn't do that if you were to say, Jeff, I guarantee you, bet in my kid's eyes, this is $1 million deal. Tomorrow, if you come in today at $100,000, I would tell you to go suck ice. It's never going to do it.
It's actually just somewhat oxymoronic. Real estate in that metaverse world, right?
True.
I mean, the reason we love it is because it's tangible.
Yep. There's no terra firma in the metaverse, and so I just don't see where that is a long-term play for a large audience. I don't see that. I just don't see that coming to fruition, right? Yeah. However, if you go back to like TikTok rewards creators. Mm-hmm. That's where they've really had exponential growth. Meta rewards advertisers that pay to play. And a very telling interview that Zuck did is his last one he just did with Rogan is phenomenal because he's very much selling. Like whenever Rogan mentioned Snap, Zuck would come back and like, "Whoa, we've got this." You know, he's very much in his own little world.
Oh, yeah.
With what he does, right? Don't get me wrong, the guy's brilliant, but he's not a guy I'd go out for beers with at all. Just not my cup of tea.
Or Roboto.
Oh, please. Zucker, but so he would be out, Musk all day long, Rogan all day long, with all those guys. But to see what Zuckerberg is doing with Meta now compared to like when I started doing stuff 15 years ago on Facebook, completely different. Mm-hmm. Now to get in my Facebook business page is harder to do now. I'm like, what do you? Come on.
Yeah, that whole like the management of all that stuff and like the Meta business suite.
I'm just not
fairly cumbersome.
It's become they're stumbling over their own feet. Meanwhile, TikTok is exploding, and guess what? Put up a video. All you got to do is put up a video. The end. If you want to put in some trending music, God bless. But just put up a video that's super cool. That's going to be funny or informative or something that's going to help me become a better person or become empathetic to you if you're going through struggles or something. Okay, great. Share it.
There's this difference too, right, between sort of longer form, and by that I'm like 12 minutes plus, that kind of deal. But you're seeking out the information versus discovering information, and that's where I think the Instagram stories and reels and all the short form video content, it's like based on this like never ending feed, right? Or it's feeding your brain in such a different way. So how even video continues to evolve will be really interesting to me in formats and what people have an appetite for.
Video is almost the third rail of real estate, because if I had a nickel for every realtor that said to me, I don't want to do video, I'm not comfortable on video, I'm not going to do it. And I always say, okay, then what are you going to do to grow your business? What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to make cold calls. Great. You're going to prospects. You're going to call 100 people a day. Yeah. Okay. If you did one video, you could reach hundreds of thousands of people in a day. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? I mean, my head looks like my neck threw up. I love video. I kill it on video. Yeah. But I've become, knock on wood, I'm pretty good at it just because I believe in what I'm saying. And honestly, one of the most watched videos on any platform are blooper reels. Mm-hmm. So if you screw up, talk through it. It shows that you're fallible. It shows you're human like everybody else.
Yeah, it's not a news segment.
It's not a news segment. Yeah. We're not in Burbank. Mm-hmm. We're not filming stuff here. I'm not Brad Pitt, where there's filters and everything else going on, multiple takes. No, it's real. Mm-hmm. And for you to really connect with your audience, you need to be real. So you're going to stammer, you're going to stutter, you're going to screw up sometimes. That's okay. Mm-hmm. That makes you more endearing to your audience. So I encourage them, like, talk through the screw ups. We're not going to do a second take. Yeah. Go. Keep talking.
Yeah, even this session, I think we just went into it.
And we're just riffing. It is what it is. And I'm going to screw. You're not going to screw up with that jacket on. You get a pass. You're not going to screw up.
This is my safety jacket.
You get that is your safe harbor. Yeah, is right there. But if something happens, you flub it. You just keep talking, because that's just how it is. I know I'm an imperfect person. I know that. I accept that. Once other people realize that, they become more comfortable with video as a medium to communicate.
Well, and it's interesting what you said about like real estate and like particularly in the agent world, but just the whole, that whole sphere, because there is a side of real estate that is so much about appearance, right?
The whole $1 million listing culture.
Yeah, right. Well, that's exacerbated it, right?
Listing culture. I won't say who it is, but I actually met one of the people that are on one of the cities, and I grilled him on it a little bit. Great guy. Was on the one in LA. And I said, how much of that is real? He said, about 20%.
Oh,
he goes, we all get along really well, actually. We've done deals together for years, but they do this contentious stuff. The producers are telling us what to say. We don't want to do it, but we're doing it to get more ratings, because if people are talking about a deal and, hey, let's go for beers later, no one's going to watch that.
It's conflict.
You want the drama.
Well, you remember Real World?
Oh, yeah.
That was like one of the first reality shows on MTV.
Oh, yeah.
And, that was another one of those.
That was groundbreaking stuff. And that was the first reality TV.
Yeah.
Was Real World. And so someone got smart and, started doing real estate stuff. But that's not how real estate is.
It's too... I actually tried to watch one of those.
Oh.
I'm like, let me just try it. And it was just like... all of them were sitting in a room just going, what'd you shop for? And stuff like that.
And the thing is, to meet them in person, they're wonderful. The guys and girls, I've met a couple of them, talked to one of them in depth. They're wonderful people and super good at what they do. Yeah. Like they've earned their status and in terms of what they're doing. However, it's not the real world. And so you get, especially in Vegas, you'll get these kids that are working on the strip in the industry, we call it. So you're working like at Encore Beach Club, and you're very good at, bottle service somewhere and selling guys $1,000 bottles of Smirnoff. And, I can get my real estate license, do the same thing. No. Yeah. I go home and watch on whatever TV show these people are doing, and I'm smarter than them. I can get my real estate license. No. No. You can't do that. It takes time and getting kicked in the privates multiple times a day and getting up from that and not feeling bad about it, but learning from that. That's what it comes down to. Vegas is still a booming. I do commercial and residential deals, and I've never seen more multi-million-dollar deals in my portfolio of ones I'm overseeing now than now.
Is it equally in both, one or the other, kind of weighted?
In terms of growth, or in terms of what I do personally?
No,
in terms of growth, I'd say commercial is outpacing residential right now by far in Las Vegas. Okay. By far.
Just the Vegas metro area? Or
I'd say the greater Las Vegas Valley, so like Summerlin, Henderson, North Las Vegas, Southern Highlands, that whole valley. You drive around, you're going to see bricks and sticks, man, is what we say. And, the unofficial bird of Nevada is the crane. Because you just see the thing going all over the place, right? Or you see construction cones all over. There's always something under construction in Las Vegas. Always. And so it is just exploding. Just exploding.
It's all, like, legit? Like, it's... Yeah.
I mean, well... It's Vegas, so
this might be some
full disclosure. Talk about an oxymoron. Well, I wouldn't say there's really no more mafia, but people do, like older folks I've talked to that were like pit bosses in the 60s and 70s. Who those people? I turn my phone off. I'm done. Like I'm locked on you,
right?
Because those are stories you'll never hear again. Yeah. And they say that when the mob ran Vegas, they ran it 1,000 times better than it's being run now.
I've heard that as well. Yeah.
Now, because you knew who to respect, you knew that if you didn't respect him, you're done, and you're put in an oil drum, and you're being found in Lake Mead, because now Lake Mead's going down, and they're finding oil drums of bodies, which that's all mob. That's all mob, and that's the tip of the iceberg of what they're going to find in Lake Mead as it goes down, guaranteed. But it was run better.
Wait, I remember them talking about like free buffets.
Oh yeah,
parking was free.
Yes,
like they knew they wanted to pull you into.
You got dressed up to go into the casino,
right? Yeah,
like when you first before Howard Hughes got involved, when the mob was really running Vegas.
Yeah.
You put a suit on, and your wife or girlfriend put on like the white silk gloves, and you could see all the pictures, like the Rat Pack. When they're all at the Sands, you could look in the audience. Everyone there is all dressed up. And now, walk down the strip and see what people are. Come on.
it was Sebastian Maniscalco has a very funny bit on that when he's like patchouli dripping from the ceiling, and there's a case of Schlitz. Yeah, it's
all true.
It's very funny.
True, and even people going into some of the higher end, like go to the Bellagio, go to the Wynn, go to Encore, and see who's checking in.
Yeah,
and again, I'm not throwing shade on them. I'm just saying it's a different socioeconomic class of people that are also now coming into Vegas. That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, different strokes, man. I'm all about diversity. Yeah. That's fine.
Some of that I think is like just, like culturally we used to dress up more to go do stuff.
I used to get dressed up to go on an airplane.
Yeah.
I remember going on People's Express Airlines in Rochester, New York to see my grandparents in Fort Lauderdale. And my parents made me get dressed up, and you'd pay for the flight when you were on the flight, and they had those knuckle crasher things, the things with their credit cards, and you'd pay on the flight. This is like...
Are you talking about like the carbon copy stuff?
Yeah, this is like early 80s. It was hysterical. I still remember that stuff.
Pay for it on the flight.
On the flight, you paid.
I don't quite remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know this has been a fantastic conversation, Jeff. I mean, we could probably have a 4-hour conversation here, but I'm looking forward to chatting with you more, and really appreciate you coming out to our studio in Tempe, Arizona. And where can people find you?
Best place is Jeff.Fargo on Instagram.
Okay,
is number one. No one remembers phone numbers or email addresses anymore.
LinkedIn, you active
I'm on
there?
LinkedIn, yeah,
Okay,
Jeff,
cool.
and you can't miss this head. You can't miss this.
I mean, the hair is.
It's you know what? It's something I've been working on for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm actually now with my age, I'm looking to feather back my ear hair a little bit to go the whole Mitch Buchanan Baywatch look. Is what I'm going to go for.
Nice.
With like the red buoy and the pecs just right and doing the whole thing.
Nice.
That's coming soon. Don't hassle the Hoff. I'll be doing that very, very soon. But yeah, Jeff.Fargo is the best way to get a hold of me, and that's Instagram is great. And if you're a realtor, if you have questions about the market or what's going on, just slide in my DMs. I'm happy to help. And if you're a realtor in Las Vegas, there's a good chance I could work with you exclusively there. Happy to.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Jeff.
My pleasure.